I'd like to thank State Senator Jeff Woodburn for coming. There's Jeff over there. He's a busy man, and we appreciate everything that he does for the state of New Hampshire. Thank you, Jeff. We want to thank everybody for coming. I guess you didn't get invited to the royal wedding, or either you did and you wanted to come here. It was a better program. I got to thank Paul Crane here.
Amen.
And my wife Linda, who is helping us more than she knows.
All right.
Greg Allen, the camera guy here. Greg has been instrumental in helping us out. His daughter made some DVDs over there for last year's induction, and they're $10 if you want them. And Greg, come over here. Just come over here in front of the camera. Greg Allen right here.
Thank you, man.
I want to thank Rick Simula, Russ Swenton, Kurt Squire, Shane Beatty, Bob Clark, Greg Westcott, Leon Guile, and Claude Hebert. They've all been instrumental in helping us on this endeavor. I'd like to now recognize last year's class, the 2017 inductees, Mr. Bob Martin, Mr. Bob Clark, his wife Muriel, Bruce Dunham, his wife Mary, and I think Barbara's here somewhere. Bob's wife Barbara's here somewhere. And I would like to recognize and give a warm welcome to the 2018 inductees. And they are Mr. Bruce Borvad, fiancée Mary is with him, Mr. Louis Lunn and his wife Joyce, Mr. Calvin Reynolds and his wife Mary Ann, Mr. Edward Stabb and his wife Heidi, and Mr. Kenneth Young. And Ken could not be here for this event, but his son Dirk is standing in his place this weekend, and his son Greg is to his left. I'd also like to thank Herb Yancey for coming to the event. Herb, go a long way. Paul Montang is here. Tom Peters. Who else came? I can't. George Gordon. Where's George? George Gordon came. All of these guys.
Mitch, Mr. Gary Merrill's here also.
ran. And he used to write articles in some of the snowmobile publications back then. And a bunch of stuff that Cal brought last year, he had a list of the top 20 New England racers that he considered good enough to race for anybody. Factory teams, they were the top racers what he considered in New England at that time. And they are Cal Reynolds, Paul Lamontagne, Keith Thompson, Keith Lowell, Bruce Bryant, Bruce Dunham, Bob Martin, Fred Felton, Dick Manning, Tom Blackburn, Bob Cully, Harry Clark, Joe Wilkinson, Ronnie Womet, Tony Consolini, Dave Picard, Alan Ames, Bob Fortin, Dennis Kovalevsky, and Don Fowler. Of some of those guys I hadn't heard of before, but many of them I had. I added J.R. Tozier and Conrad Rollins. He did say that these, that everybody's got a top 20, and I had to add J.R. and Conrad. And speaking of Conrad, Vicky couldn't make it today. But Conrad was more than just a top snowmobile racer back then. When we attended his funeral, I stood up and about 3 or 4 other people stood up, and we talked, about racing, and we had some racing stories about Conrad. But then one gentleman stood up, and he said that he and Conrad used to go riding a lot, trail riding. And I can imagine what it would be like to be trail riding with Conrad now. And this gentleman, every time he'd leave the house, his kids would beg him to take them along. And he finally says, I got courage enough to ask Conrad if it was okay if I took my 2 young kids along with us on one of our rides. And Conrad said, yes, absolutely. And he said, Conrad Rollins made my kids feel like we were on that ride just for them. That's the kind of guy that he was. So just to let you know. This sign up here, I found this sign down, my wife and I went to
Hobby Lobby.
And I came back and I told her, I said, I wish we had bought that sign. But instead I made one up. It says, be so good, they can never forget you. Be so good that they can never forget you. And I have a story here that Rick Simula brought up to me about a week ago. And he wanted to know if I could read this. He said it's for those guys that race the big stuff. And would you read that for me? Because he had prior engagements. He had to, there's a fishing derby down in Winnipesaukee. And they did that every year. And he's got some friends that wanted him to go. So unfortunately he couldn't make it. But he did want this story read. Hang on to that up there while I read this story. It's Rick Simula. My memory of the men who rode the fastest snowmobiles in the world. The time was 1972. I was 17 years old and had been racing a 1972 250 EXT Autocat in A stock at Lewiston, Maine, grabbing second place behind George Plucky Jr. and barely edging out Ray Resnick, who came in third. We had been running in the top 3 points all year, but most racing fans will not remember us because we were racing in the lower horsepower classes. At around 7 p.m., with the Lawston Raceway now under lights, I had my second place money, a bushel full of AC spark plugs, my AC contingency check, and stickers, so we all decided to load our sleds in gear. When the final race of the night was announced, my cousin Gary and I are in the parking lot at the far end of the enclosed grandstand. We would not have been able to get back to the infield on time. The biggest race of the weekend was about to start when Gary looked up at the snowbank between turns 1 and 2 and says, "Let's go." We climbed over the chain link fence, got tangled up in the second snow fence, but finally made it into the darker section, smack dab in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Now both of us, we knew we weren't supposed to be there. Did I mention we were 17? Just then the sharp, high-pitched sound of tune pipes arose from the infield, and out onto the track they came. 10 of New England snowmobile racing's greatest stars pulled to the line, and right there in the middle was Cal Reynolds on his big 72 Blizzard. Joe Wilkinson was on a Blizzard to his right. Out of the 10 sleds, 6 or 7 were the wide chassis Skidoo Blizzards. This was the Mod 5 final, the 800s, and the big boys were about ready to put on a show. They bounced up and down a few times to set the studs, but just before Ted Wineout was about to wave the green flag, Cal Reynolds stood straight up on his running board, adjusted his legendary blue scarf, and I swear the man looked 10 feet tall. He towered over the rest. Then Cal settled in, the green flag dropped, and boom! 20 skis lifted off the ground at the same time. 30 alcohol fuel cylinders roared to life. With each 3-cylinder engine developing 100 horsepower, it created the sound of 1,000 horsepower. And all of it was coming our way fast. It was common knowledge back then that those big 650 and 800cc powered machines never liked to turn. It was akin to trying to turn left with a top fuel funny car at the end of a quarter mile without a parachute. Only now add 10 funny cars trying to turn left and all flying for the same piece of racetrack. But these winter warriors manhandled those monsters through the turns 1 and 2 without incident. They opened them up full throttle and drag raced up the backstretch, barreling into turns 3 and 4, bouncing, flying, thrashing, and clawing their way around, then opening them up again for the front stretch. This went on for 10 very cold, grueling laps. The pungent scent of racing fuel hung in the air like a thick fog. Each time they rolled high into turns 1 and 2, we were peppered with stinging pieces of ice and snow. We'd pull our knit hats down and peer through the stretched yarn as to not miss a single second of the greatest race our young lives had ever witnessed. Now, I raced snowmobiles during the golden age of snowmobile racing, just like those men did, and there were many of us who raced in the smaller horsepower classes, but there are only a handful of drivers who were daring enough, brave enough to compete on those awesome 650s and 800s. So I'd like to finish this story by thanking Calvin Reynolds, Joe Wilkinson, Bruce Dunham, Bob Martin, Conrad Rollins, Louis Lund, and all of those fearless few, the ones who sold the tickets. And yes, the ones who made the kind of memories that will last a boy a lifetime. He was 17 years old. That was over 46 years ago. And he remembers it like it was yesterday. Yeah. in 1968 aboard a family skidoo and won first 2 races he entered. He raced until 1977. Won no less than a first, second, or third place finish in all races entered during the entire 1970 season in the 295 class. Won no less than a first, second, or third place finish in all races entered during the entire 1973 USSA season in A and B stock. Won no less than a first, second, or third place finish in all races entered during the entire 1974 USSA season in A and B stock. Was USSA Eastern Point leader in both A and B stock for 1973 and 1974. Raced methanol fueled 1971 Arctic 440 to many victories, including 3 classes at the Manchester Winter Carnival. Won A stock at the USSA World Series in Malone, New York in 1973 and took a 4th place in B stock. He has taken home over 120 trophies in 9 years of racing. Won the Pennsylvania Governor's Cup and the Paul Bunyan's Cup, and Bruce also won the 1975 Kilkenny Cup in Mod 4.
Excuse me. Thanks.
I just wanted to say that I'm honored to be here, and I personally
Put you on the wall now.
I'd like to thank Minch and Paul for all their efforts in implementing the Hall of Fame for the Eastern Division. Thank you.
Mr. Louis Lund. Inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2018. Raced only 1 time in a USSA race in 1970 when he began competing on a big 3-cylinder Polaris 650 Starfire in 1971. Raced in both Mod 4 and Mod 5 on a Mod 4 sled. He wore number 9 and number 10 bibs during his racing career. Won in both Mod 4 and Mod 5 events at Cumberland, Maine on a day that didn't go above 26 below zero. Lewis missed winning in Mod 4 at the 1971 World Series in Boonville, New York by just 2 seconds behind Jim Burnett. First year racing. Was invited to join Team Chaparral as a test pilot, working closely with Bobby Unser on the development of their revolutionary independent front suspension system for 1972. There's not a sled built today that doesn't have an IFS suspension, and that gentleman right there was the first guy to ride one. Lewis was clocked at 115 miles an hour while racing the new IFS equipped Mod 4 Chaparral at mile-long Scarborough Downs. The track, unable to withstand such speeds, blew apart. He raced his Chaparral to wins in both Mod 4 and Mod 5 at Bangor in 1972. Lewis was well known as one of the most colorful and exciting racers to watch during his bygone era.
Okay, now it's the time for the story, I think.
Tell a story.
Yeah, I think so. If I might. Good afternoon, afternoon, everyone. First, I want to say thank you for coming today. A special thanks to my wife, Joyce, twin daughters, Joan and June, my son, Leonard, along with my 8 grandchildren and 2 great-grandkids, Aurora and Andrew, 2 little diamonds. And also thanks to Paul Gray, and Midge for all they have done. I'll get settled in here in a minute. To promote snowmobiling and for recognizing us snowmobilers. Just want to thank you two so much. It's just, without you doing this, we'd be still in the closet somewhere. I want to thank Bob Clark, our race director, for all of his guidance. We really do. And for keeping us on the straight and narrow, or at least trying to. I couldn't forget our great friend and competitor, Conrad Rollins, who passed recently. He also supported anyone who needed help. His shop doors were always open to any team or individual. He was a true professional racer. It was an honor to compete with him, and I know his spirit is with us all.
He's right here today. You can't see him, but he's right here.
It's been a privilege to have raced with so many good guys. A special thanks to the 2 competitors, Gerald Merrill and his wife Joni, and Nelson Taylor and his wife Sheila, who raced actually right on the team through my bus and stuff. So right with us all the time. I also want to thank Bill Kane. I wouldn't have this little. Let me tell you this story. Anyone knew my dad, everything leads to a story. But anyway, I got invited to do the racing, racing for Dick Wilkie, just a little private dealer in Harvard, Mass. And doing mostly drag racing then. And I won a few races, I guess, and had a little bit of good luck. So I got a call from Harrington King, who wanted to know if I would race for, he was a distributor for players, for them through the, back by the factory. So they wanted me to come down and meet with them. So, you know, when a guy is young, I guess he gets a little cocky and stuff. Maybe I was. So anyway, you know, this talking told us what they would do and the support I would get and stuff. And I said, when I was walking out the door, I turned around and said, to tell you something, if I race for you, and you're Mr. Bill King, I want to be called Louis the King if I win some races. And that didn't make it. So anyway, so a special thanks to Bill King for, you know, for his support and stuff. I owe a special thanks to all the fans who followed our racing, and there was a lot of them for all the guys that put on the show. And, you know, we want to thank them so much. Their support is really appreciated. I also want to say, Jim and Alicia, they'll be watching this from a distance, and I missed you today. So I told them I would say that, so they thought they had to be somewhere else. I always felt at home when I came to Lancaster. Anyone who knew Mr. Monahan's shop, the shop was always open to our team. They invited us in.
Oh, God.
So
We made some good friends.
yeah, we thank you. And then a little bit of nostalgia. At a race held in 1971, I won't say where, New Hampshire, I got a little aggressive. I think for the first and only time that I could. And according to my recollection, I owe an apology to a gentleman. It seems that I bumped Carol Reynolds' sled, and imagine, I still get razzed about it whenever we meet. It was all in fun, really. Joe was a great competitor, seriously. Added a lot to the sport, and he's a class act. Stand up, Kelvin. You can see why I admitted to it. That's the first time I admitted to it. And you see, well, see, you see where he went. I always shied away from it. I didn't know he was as good a sport as he is. He took it all in fun. Great guy. In closing, I am very honored to be inducted into the Snowmobile Hall of Fame, and it is a privilege. Thank you all for the great friendships and memories. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you all for your time.
Neat, take the whole bouquet out.
Sorry, I don't know.
Point well taken. Oh, I get one. Give it to Marilyn.
What's that?
Mr. Calvin Reynolds. Inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2018. His very first race was at the 1964 Lancaster Grand Prix. Cal raced for his family's dealership team, Reynolds Raiders. He had won over 100 first, second, and third place trophies in only the first 6 years of racing. Cal raced to a second place finish against top factory riders in Mod 5 at the first USSA World Series in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. He wore gold bibs number 3, 4, and 5 during his racing career. Winning nearly every major New England championship, Cal raced to a hard-fought second place finish in Mod 4 against several top factory teams at the 1971 Lancaster Grand Prix. I'm going to come back to that one. Was voted in the top 12 best driver and best sportsman both in the same year, covering all 3 divisions by the prestigious USSA race committee members, best driver and best sportsman. His Reynolds Raiders team is best remembered for competing on such impeccably prepared machines. It helped to elevate the entire sport of New England snowmobile racing to a higher level. This is the best photo. Cal, let me tell you something about Cal Reynolds. Cal came in with a file box full of memories. And for every memory he had of himself, there were 3 or 4 memories of his friends and competitors like Conrad and Bruce Dunham. I had a hard time finding stuff on Cal. And the best photo that we could come up with in all that stuff, and one that I wanted because it said Reynolds Raiders, is the only one that said Reynolds Raiders on his jacket. And fortunately, it came out of an old newspaper clipping, and my wife brilliantly, it was a yellowed newspaper clipping. So she did a very good job with that. If Cal wants to come up with a better photo, what it is. But I tell you, this is what we saw. Every Monday morning newspaper, this is what we saw. So, and I want to go back to the part where he won second place at the 1971 Grand Prix. I'll tell you who won it. It was another Mainer. His name was Conrad Rollins. Now, I can tell Bob Martin can tell you just how bad the 71 blizzards were.
Yep.
The 71 blizzard had a 27-inch ski stance. And the 3-cylinder engines were wider than the ski stance. Not only that, the engine sat up on top of the tunnel. It was top heavy, it was narrow, and honestly, Cal was competing against most of the major factory teams at that Grand Prix. And to come in second on that sled says a lot about his driving ability. Because Polaris clearly had a better sled that year. They had a 34.5-inch ski stance. The engine sat low down in the tunnel. And Cal did very well to come in second place.
Am I supposed to give a speech?
You can't.
Well, I guess the first thing I want to do is, number one, that cost me $1,000 to get that picture in the paper. I want to thank you for all the effort you're putting into this, and I don't know who else would do it, and we really, really appreciate it. And Paul, I don't know, to make this facility available for us, we just can't thank you enough. I don't want to get emotional about it, because I can't help it. I've been following Louis.
Yeah.
But my claim to fame really is that I've been whipped by every top driver in this room, which means every one of them. And they're all top drivers. Any given weekend, you can get your butt whipped. And because there was a lot of good riders back then. If they had everything going in the right direction. I remember one time at Bangor, and I went down there and I said, Louis didn't show up. I got it made. This guy come out of Aroostook County on a skidoo. He's standing over there at Tom Peters. And he gave me the race of my life. I rode the Bankins. I rode Timberland's machine because Bobby Fortin got hurt. And I rode the Bankin. and Tom rode the inside rail. And I'm telling you, every time I come off that bank, I'd be in the middle of it, I'd look down like that, and they go Tom. I gotta be going a lot faster than him, and I just come off the bank and hit the ground. Up the back stretch, I'd going into the corner, and up on the bank, and again, I look down, there's Tom. And if everybody remembers the movie, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, when they had the Rangers chasing them, they said, who is that guy? Who is that guy? It's the marvelous guy. I kept looking down, Tom, who is that guy? But anyway, it was a great ride. I had a lot of fun, and the best part of it is when you pull in the pits and the camaraderie. The camaraderie, that's where it's at, between Bruce, Louie, all the boys, especially that one over there that used me for boom all the time. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. The camaraderie, we spend all day with each other, all day long, every race weekend.
We have a band of brothers.
But I couldn't have ever done it without my beautiful wife, 59 years. She's imported. Imported from Germany when she was only 18 years old. And there's my pit man over there, Steve Reynolds. When he was 10 years old, he was my #1 pit man. Steve. And his lovely girlfriend, Melissa. So anyway, thanks everybody for coming up, and I thanks for all the accolades and all the back slaps on the back and everything. It means a lot to me, and I'll treasure this forever. Thank you.
It's a great job.
Now you're going on the wall, Cal.
Edward Stabb, racer promoter, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2018. In 1968, 12-year-old Ed Stabb begged Dagway owner and Skidoo dealer Fay Calvin to please let him help work on the machines. He was so convincing, Calvin let him. In 1971, Ed joined the Explorer Post 505, whose sponsor was the USSA. His troops sold food and many of the USSA sanctioned races. Ed began racing snowmobiles in 1974 on the 1974 Polaris 340, and again in 1975. He co-owned the 1976 Mercury 250 Snow Twister and helped sponsor a lighter rider to drive it, and it took many first-place trophies that year. Ed began grooming trails and repairing rental sleds for the Northwest Passage Hotel. It was here that he rented the workshop, calling it the Outpost, started selling used snowmobiles, and was a Parts Unlimited dealer until 1981. In 1979, Ed built his first racetrack at the Northwest Passage Hotel. He was not only involved in putting the race on, he also raced to second place finish. He saw the first New York Vintage Sled race in 2002, was a member of the board in 2003, took over as chairman of the New York Vintage Sled Racing from 2004 to 2015. Under Ed's leadership, over racing enjoyed a resurgence in interest not seen since the 1970s. Ed ran 8 100-mile endurance races on several New York lakes for 7 years. Ed Stabb was named Grand Marshal for the 2011 Boonville Snow Festival. He hosted his first vintage snow at Boonville, New York in 2005 with 176 entries. Ed was host of the first national show at Boonville in 2010 with 254 entries. He was a judge at the national show at St. Anne's, Michigan in 2012. He hosted the second national show at Boonville, New York with almost 500 entries. Was a judge at Midland, Michigan National Show in 2015. Ed helped at the national show in Lancaster, New Hampshire in 2016. Ed was key in the enormous success of the 2014 50th Lancaster Grand Prix reunion race. He brought his entire staff, all working pro bono for this and every Grand Prix since. Mr.
I'm gonna keep it short. It's been a pleasure to come up here to New Hampshire, to put on the races that we do. The credit that you guys are giving me is very nice, but you know, when you run an organization like we have, it's not just me. It's my helpers, my track directors, all the guys that come and help me put on these races. Without them, you can't do it. I mean, the 100-mile races, I had to have somebody go out and build those tracks. You had to have somebody sitting out there all day, making sure guys didn't cut corners, you know. That's a long day of sitting there. You can't do it without help, and you gotta have good help. The flagmen to stay out there all day and flag the races and stuff. The girls to sit out there and score the racers. They sit out in the cold to watch those guys. If it's 30 below, that's where they're sitting, you know. So, like I say, I'm honored to have this, but I want everybody to know that it takes a lot of people to run something like this and keep it going. And Mitch, Paul, the only thing I can say about Paul, he has a good shirt.
Every spoke wheel needs a hub. Kenneth Young, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2018. Ken raced for the famous Widowmakers racing team. Raced Skidoo during the 1968-69 season, winning 7 first-place titles at 5 events entered, taking second in points. He switched to Arctic Cat in 1969, earned his first gold bib #1, and went on to win first place in Mod 4 at the first World Series at Rhinelander, Wisconsin in 1970. Ken won 4 first place and 3 second place trophies in 7 events entered, and took a 4th place in Mod 2 at the 1971 World Series in Boonville, New York. Kenny never lost a race he entered in Mod 1, Mod 2, and Mod 3 during the entire 1971-72 season, taking 10 first place wins. He also won in Mod 1 at the 1972 World Series in Ironwood, Michigan. He won all 3 races he entered in the 1972-73 season, including the New York State Championship. At Redfield, New York, on the first lap in the first race of the 1973-74 season, Ken was injured in a bad crash in turn 3. He retired on the spot. What a record! This is Kenny's son right here. Kenny couldn't make it, and Dirk is accepting it for his honor.
Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody for showing up, and thank Midge for dogging us, finding us. And Dad's alive and knows I'm here, and he'll appreciate this very much first. So for me and my family, thank you very much.
Listen, if you guys would like to help out with this, we'll accept any donations. One way to do that is buy a t-shirt. My wife is selling t-shirts and hats and stuff over there. We got a raffle going. We're giving away a couple of sweatshirts, $1 a ticket. We really need help in that way, and anything that you can do for us is definitely a plus. You wanted to...
Yep. There we go. You may have seen these signs around. I'm Mike with Vintage Snowmobile Lovers, by the way. VintageSnowmobileLovers.com. I'm putting on a show and swap in Derby Line, Vermont on August 11th. If any of you guys want to come by, I'd love to see you.
If you want information about it, I've got these business cards. I'm happy to give you one. It's got my web address on it. And lastly, you guys may be familiar with me if you're not already. I host the largest vintage snowmobile themed page on Facebook, Vintage Snowmobile Lovers. It's the largest community of vintage snowmobile lovers anywhere, Facebook or otherwise. If you have a chance, jump on and join in the fun. It's a very active page. So it's August 11th, River Line, Vermont, Vintage Show and Swap.
Thank you. Yeah, Bruce wants to say something about Mr. Reynolds.
I race cap, but he raced Skidoo. I'm gonna read this just so I don't get it mixed up, but, I'd like to thank Cal for helping me get my sled on the track for the A-Stock final in 1973 World Series. The race directors decided that they would run the final on late Saturday afternoon for A-Stock instead of on Sunday. I wasn't anywhere to be found. Well, Cal Reynolds, along with 3 others, got my sled from the muddy infield to the starting line and said, get on it and go out and race. When the flag dropped, I had no idea I was in the final. If it wasn't for those 4 gentlemen, I wouldn't have won the A-Stock at the World Series in 1973. Thank you, Cal.
That concludes this year's program. And I think you guys have any questions for these gentlemen? Now's the time to do it. They have just a wealth of information about that era, and we're glad to have them. Thank you. Yeah, Paul said to stay tuned on Train Snowmobile Museum website, and we'll have a date for next year at some point. So, yeah. And I already know who's going to be inducted next year. If you'd like to know, I guess I can tell you right now. Ron Hall, Mr. Herb Yancey, Claude Hebert.
Forgot already, JR told you.
JR told you. JR may be here. He said he was going to try to. There's JR. You made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
How much of this?
I was always like those guys.
How much of this did you see?
All of it.
Not all of it.
Yeah, I can go in the rest.
Yeah, Mr. Tosha. And even 2020, Tom Peters is slated to be inducted in 2020, and along with a couple, 3 others that I've got my sights set on. So it's going to happen, and these guys need to be recognized. So thank you very much.
We want Can you squeeze in as much as you can? That's great.
All right, my name is Calvin Reynolds, and I'm one of the early snowmobile racers in this area, Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Raced all the way to Wisconsin, the World Series out there, raced in Ironwood, Michigan, raced in Pennsylvania. Started out with just single cylinder, 5 horsepower machines, and worked my way up to 640s and 800s. And my claim to fame, I guess, is I was beat by just about everybody in the business. I've been beat by the best, but I also won a few. So it was a great experience, and the camaraderie and the adventure and the time. Everything was the right time, the right place, the right time, and we were kind of pioneers back then. And every weekend was a blast all winter long. And I wouldn't take anything from the memories.
Hi, I'm Louis Lunn. I've started racing snowmobiles in the late 60s through 73. Started racing for Polaris, small dealership in Harvard, Mass, and doing mostly drag racing. Got me into it, and got invited to go race full sleds on the circuit, and that we did. Had a great time at it. Had some success.
Nice.
And, made a lot of good relationships. Felt very, very fortunate in my racing career. I only got off the sleds 2 different times in the 5 years that I raced, and one time at Wolfboro, New Hampshire, the sled had upset, and I couldn't clear it, and hit that, and got a little bit of a concussion, but
Oh.
I don't know if it still lasted today or not. I think I'm over it. It was probably, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
I think I'm
That rang your bell pretty good, did it?
Yeah, it wasn't terribly bad, but enough that I didn't know right where I was or why I was there for a few minutes.
Yeah.
So, other than that, it's been very good. Had some really great people, great mechanic because we had good success with I race only 650s in the 2 classes. I raced my 650 in the 800 class, and fortunately had good success there. My mechanic was very sharp and good. He got everything that was in the sled.
Nice.
So
We were able to put it all on the track.
put it all on the track, and so that was good. We had great with Chaparral. I went from Polaris to Chaparral because of distributor changing. It wasn't anything to do with Polaris or the sleds, but the
Sure.
distributor had changed, and they wanted me to go to Mytelka in New York. Stay with Polaris, but it would have been all down around New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and that. And just, at the time, I'm 77 and I'm still in my own business. I'm still working.
Wow, good.
So, it would have been too much traveling for me. So, I was invited to stay with the distributor and Chaparral, and it was a great experience. Got out west, got to see some different things. We done some testing for them on the new IFS independent front suspension sleds, and Paul Bianco, the open wheel racer, which the picture showed, I got a personal chance to meet with him and chat with him, and so for I guess a young whippersnapper, it was pretty fortunate, I thought,
Nice.
and made some good relationships there. We had a close relationship with the Nickerson, Gary Nickerson, who run the New York division for Chaparral Racing, and had a good friendship and stuff, working back and forth with them, passing information and things. So, other than that, a lot of, just the second thing that happened to me on the track, it was up, I think it was Newport, Vermont, we were racing, and I had just, the Chaparral, it was early in the season, it might have been second or third race on the Chaparral, and we had done some qualifying, and I don't know if we was in a qualifying run or a final, but I come out of the second turn, and on my left eye, I noticed something moving like this. I looked down, and my ski was broadside. It wasn't forward, it was broadside.
It flipped around.
And I was coming out of the turn with full power on, so my skis were off the ground, fortunately. So I knew what was going to happen. And so what I did was I stood up, let off of the throttle, and jumped at the same time.
Wow.
I cleared the sled pitch poled end over end, I don't know how many times, and I never went off my feet. I landed on my feet, and they said I was doing steps at about 25 feet each, and
Yeah.
about probably 40, 50 miles an hour when I lit on the track.
Good
So
God.
it got a rise out of the crowd.
That would be something to see.
It was. Everyone said it was kind of a comical act in a way, but yet, you know, so I was, like I said, as far as being on the track with accidents and that was very, very close. And then the only other bump I had, which I mentioned before, was the Cal Reynolds and I, and
That was a good story.
I give him quite a bump. I guess I was probably about as aggressive as a guy could be.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're going to win, you can't sit back and think about it. You got to get up front and get it done.
Yeah, you don't go there to lose, right?
No. We didn't go to lose. And, but knowing at the time, you know, we were having a great time doing it, and never thought anything about a Hall of Fame or being a name on the wall of the museum or something, you know.
Sure.
I just thought we were doing that someday, be all done of it. And I might look at back at some of my old things. I never thought that we would have this happen. And,
Yeah, it's wonderful that it's still kept alive.
It really is. Midge and Paul, just what they're doing here, you know, and others.
Sure.
You know, the Stop Yourself and all that, you know, bringing back. And I think the snowmobilers and even people that might not be much in snowmobiling kind of say, gosh, that'd probably half interesting, you know?
Yeah.
And so probably there were some interesting characters
Sure.
involved in it. So
Yeah.
other than that, you know, I guess that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sticking to it. Nice.
All right.
Oh, one final thought. Do you have any memories or thoughts about those early IFS sleds? You were the one that tested some of those first
Well,
iterations of that, right?
Yeah. They were so much quicker. You know, the suspension, the independent suspension. I had it the first year before anyone else had it, and not. I don't know if you want to brag about it or not, but I guess I've heard it said that if it happened and you can do it, you're not bragging about it.
Sure.
But I had seen some movies that were taken, you know, when we were racing, and like when I had that IFS, the Chaparral, the race would start, and we come out of the second turn and around the corner, and I'd be halfway down the back stretch, and they're just coming out, and you know, if you had like a quarter or half mile track, within 3 to 5 laps, I'd be lapping everybody, and the sled was just tremendous. And
Must corner 100% better, I would think.
Oh God, just, you know, I never hardly had to let off the throttle. You know.
So even then, with the first early experiments with that suspension, you knew that was the future of snowmobiling?
Oh gosh, yeah, absolutely. Sure. Absolutely was, you know, and well, they all went to it, so it wasn't a mistake, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You know? And it was a way that every factory, you know, followed suit there.
Sure.
Somewhat.
And I imagine the whole industry took notice of that when they started coming out with the IFS sleds.
Oh yeah, absolutely did.
They knew everyone knew that was the future.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Good.
Very, very, very much so.
Good. Well, thank you, Louis. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
My name is Tom Peters, from Presque Isle, Maine, now born and brought up in Stockholm, Maine. Raced from the mid-60s, 66 actually, through 76. Raced basically Bombardier, Skidoo, Blizzards, owned 5 different models of them, and primarily in the 650 class, 640 and 650 class. Raced a lot of, didn't race down here with the big guys a lot. Raced, if there was local races, we used to try to hit them because made a lot of travel from Worcester County down. But I did race in Scarborough, Lewiston, Bangor quite a few times, so did cover the whole state. Never did come into New Hampshire to race. It was just too far back in the day. But
sure.
I was telling some of the guys there today, guys that were there, I said, you know, we got up in the morning, Monday morning, and we looked at the newspaper, or looked at the race results for the weekend, and there was your name. You know, if you were fortunate enough to win, there was your name. But I said, you know, that didn't happen in a bubble.
Right.
There was all kinds of people behind the scenes that made that happen. But
Sure.
I get race results and stuff in here, and you go down through those race results, those people's names aren't there. You know, our names are there, but
Sure.
you know, it wasn't a one man deal. You know, it was
A lot of people made that happen.
a lot of people to make it happen. It was quite a thing. So I really do. In one of the memorable events, and Cal Reynolds and I talked about it today. We raced in Bangor, 1970. I pulled into Bangor with a car with a homemade trailer with a 1970 Blizzard on the back end of it.
Wow.
And here's all these tractor trailers and
Factory
all these
teams.
race factory teams out there. And I told the guy that I was with, I said, that owned the Skidoo dealership. I said, I can't race here. He said, what are you talking about? I said, look at what they got. I said, here I am with a homemade trailer and a sled on it. And I said, you expect me to go out and compete against that? And he said, look, young man, he said, you put your pants on one leg at a time just like they do. He said, you go out there, and he said, you can beat them all. So I went out on Saturday, did not qualify. So Sunday they had a consolation race, and I won that consolation race we found some traction equipment overnight.
Yeah.
And worked till about 1 o'clock in the morning to get it on there. So I won the first heat. There was 3 heats, qualifying heats, and I won every one of them by about a quarter of a lap.
Really?
So everybody was watching then. This guy didn't qualify yesterday, and so I got into the final. Cal Reynolds was in the final.
Yeah.
And I pushed him quite hard. He beat me by about half a ski length.
Wow.
And he was telling me today, he said that they threw that chassis away because he couldn't ride on the track. I rode the rail, and he was trying to ride on the bank. He said they had to throw that chassis away. He said there wasn't a rivet that was left tight in it.
They loosened it all up.
Loosened it all up. He said, I pounded it so hard. He said, and I don't know if you heard him say today, he was up on the bank, he looked down, and there was Tom Peters sitting on the inside rail. So it was that's one of the real good memories, you know.
Yeah.
Racing against people like that. So
That's awesome.
but it's been it was a wonderful ride, you know. But you know, 50 years later, there's a lot of good memories.
Yeah, it's nice that it's still remembered today too.
Yep.
That means a lot.
And
Yeah.
and they're gonna. I've talked to Midge there, and they're gonna put me in the 2020
Good.
category here. So
Good.
which is great.
Good. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
All right, my name is Paul LaMontagne, and I'm down here for this wonderful event. I'm going to tell you right now, these guys that just got the award, being inducted into the Hall of Fame, really, really deserve it. It's amazing, and it's nice to see them again. And everybody just, you know, all the old memories come back. What you've done, who you were with. You can even pinpoint a time, a certain lap, and we got talking about things. It's fantastic. And I was very fortunate to race from 1969 to 75, and with different teams and different sleds, and started with Rupp, and went on to Chaparrals, and after that finally finished racing with Mercury out of Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, and with Snow Twisters, and just had a great time and meeting great people, and I'm glad that this vintage racing is coming back, because I'll tell you right now, there was people, the young people just will never have the opportunity to do and see what we did. And by doing this, it gives everybody a chance. Even if you pick up an old machine and get on it and have a good time and good laughs, there's really nothing like it. So I appreciate everything that's been done, and people the way they treated me, and the best everybody.
Nice. Any favorite memories of racing back in the day, back in the 70s?
Oh my God, there was some, like I was racing against Gilles Villeneuve up in Bangor, and he had me by about a half a lap, and it took me 10 laps, and I caught him on the last corner to win the modified class. And to that day, him and I were friends. We were together. I also raced against him in Boonville, New York. I also raced against him at Eagle River, where him and I fought for first and second, and he ended up, I got him in Bangor, and he got me, and it was just fun things like this that happened. It's just amazing. and also the guys like Brad Hullins, who went on to race for Polaris. Him and I, we bumped heads for a whole winter on our Mercury Snow Twisters, and we had so much fun just beating up on each other, really, and it's things that we'll never forget.
Wonderful.
But I want to thank you for interviewing me, and I hope you people get into the sport. And as I'm 69 years old, listen to this, I still ride every weekend.
Nice.
The last 22 years, I'm to be found in Jackman, Maine, or up in Canada, and just having a ball riding. Right now, what I do now, I got rid of all the fast sleds in 2012, and now I got myself a nice, beautiful touring 1200 Skidoo, and
Nice.
a tour around with my fiance, and we're all over the place, and we just have a ball. So there's no end. I mean, you can be 85 and still out there running and having a great time, and every weekend when we pull in the Jackman, everybody looks forward to seeing each other, and I'm with friends like Wilkinson out there that I used to race years ago, and we just have a ball every weekend. So life's too short. We got to enjoy every minute.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paul. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you very, very much.
At the end of this video, we'll take a look at Mad Ramp's innovative pivoting ramp system, the safer, easier way to transport your ATVs and snowmobiles. Stick around. Before we begin, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our friends at the historic Lancaster Motel in Lancaster, New Hampshire. The Lancaster Motel has been serving snowmobilers since the 60s, and they are the perfect eastern trail riding destination for snowmobilers young and old. The Lancaster Motel is right on Corridor Trail 5 in Lancaster, New Hampshire, with plenty of parking for vehicles, sleds, and trailers. Plus, the Lancaster Motel is within walking distance of Crane's Snowmobile Museum, plus restaurants, shopping, entertainment, and more. Click the link in the description to learn more about the Lancaster Motel. Good evening and welcome to the Vintage Snowmobile Podcast. I'm really glad you're here tonight. I'd like to thank you for joining us. We have a full lineup of Vintage Snowmobile entertainment tonight. We've got some live guests standing by to come on for some show and tell here in just a couple of minutes. We also have some we've got a snowmobile for sale, and we've got the induction into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame in 2019. Claude Hebert is going to be the inductee. And then last but not least, we have Steve Dickinson's Vintage Arctic Cat Snowmobiles. Now, before we get started, I want to make sure that everything is working properly. So if you can see my face and hear my voice, I'm going to ask you to make a comment. Let me know where you're viewing this from. And if you're a first-time viewer, let me know if you're a first-time viewer. And if you're a regular viewer, let me know if you're a regular viewer. And to both of you, I thank you very much. If you're a first-time viewer, thanks for coming on to give us a look. Hope you like what you see and decide to join us every week. And if you're a regular viewer, I thank you so much for coming on and joining us every week. It really means a lot, and this is a great way to grow this podcast. Now, if you're enjoying this, whether you're a first-time or a regular viewer, I'm going to ask you a favor to help spread the word about this. If you could share this on your profile or share it on a friend's profile who you think might enjoy this, or maybe even share it with them in a private message, that would really do a lot to help spread the word about this podcast. Now, let's take a look at who's watching tonight. We've got Brian Robillard. He is a regular viewer, and he's been on here as a guest, and I've been talking with him behind the scenes. He's got some other sleds that he's ready to show us, hopefully in another week or two. So we've got big expectations of what Brian Robillard has to show us. We also have Scott Verdon from Michigan. I know he's a regular viewer as well. Thanks for coming on, Scott. George Zandbelt from Winchester, Ontario. Thanks for coming on, George. George is a regular viewer as well, and so is John Spranger Jr. He likes the podcast, and he thinks the snow is still on back order. Yeah, it is here as well. If you're in the Northeast, yeah, we're getting skunked on the snow. We've been getting a little bit, just an inch or two here and there, but hardly enough for some decent trail riding. Also, John Greenwood, thanks for coming on, John. Appreciate you coming on. Ken Haberman, thank you, Ken. I just spoke with Ken the other day. I appreciate your coming on to check it out. We have Brody Messner from Henderson, Minnesota. Brody's a regular viewer as well. Tracy Dudley Skipinski, howdy from Michigan. Tracy and Dudley are regular viewers. We've got Jamie Whitaker, first-time viewer from Williamsburg, Ontario. Thank you for coming on, Jamie. We really appreciate it, and we hope that you like what you see. I'm sorry, my tongue is in a knot tonight, but hopefully that'll get untied, and we'll be able to have a great show here. Tom Gregory, regular viewer. Thanks for coming on, Tom, from Armada, Michigan. Ryan Chase, first-time viewer from Concord, Vermont, just down the road. I'm up in Derby Line. Thanks for coming on, Ryan. And then we've got Joe Jake Coe Sr. from Canada High Arctic Northwest Territory. And we've got Mike Orr in Ontario. Great. This is great, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm not going to keep Joe Roscoe waiting any longer. Let's bring him on to the podcast and turn his mic on. How you doing, Joe?
Good evening, Mike. Good.
Well, good. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Now, Joe is on here from Ontario, and he's at his family dealership, his Ski-Doo dealership. He's got some incredible show and tell that he's going to be sharing with us tonight. I'm going to put a banner up on the screen here. This is the name of his dealership, and in a second here, he's going to turn his camera around and talk up what he's got going on there. And I'm going to remove this from the screen. There we go. Yeah, he's turning his camera around right now. Yeah, wait till you see, guys, what he's got to show us. This is going to be great.
We'll go right to the gas tanks first, though, Mike.
Yes, by all means.
Okay, I noticed when you had it on, it was Joe's gas tank. It's not Joe's. It's Joe and Mike's, or Mike and Joe's, or Mike Orr is online. He's really the biggest contributor. Mike's done all the work. I just give him the work to do. So
gotcha. Okay.
But
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Oh yeah, no, Mike does a fantastic job. He's a perfectionist. So actually, Ken's online. This is one of Ken's tanks, the Moto Skis. Ken's invested quite a bit in it, and Mike did the tank for Ken, and it's perfect to a T, if you notice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Then in the middle here is the Blizzard bubble nose tank, and it's an exact fit, part numbers and all. And right here is the 72 Blizzard tank. If you look real close, I don't know if you can see it, you'll see the part number right in it. So
yes.
These tanks are an exact fit, better than the new ones, better plastic, and Mike is a perfectionist, so you can guarantee that they're perfect to a T. One other thing Mike's done for me is the head. That's a 70 Blizzard 340 for the bubble nose. That's the head, and he's currently working on that cylinder as we speak.
Wonderful.
What Mike is also working on, we've got a 71 wide body Blizzard tank, and Mike probably, I hope his iPad doesn't blow up right now, but we're trying to have it ready by the end of February, so hopefully that'll be out. With Ken's got different vintage moto ski parts too. He's got chain cases, trunks, belt covers, so if you need anything, get in touch with Ken at kensrehab.com, I believe it is, and you'll be able to get moto ski parts. For the
nice.
For the tanks, you can get in touch with my son at the store here, or Goose is going to be selling them in the U.S. So Goose in the U.S., that's Ken or Ron Thompson, and he's looking after U.S. sales for us.
Nice. And Ken and Mike are both in the comments right now, so if you are curious about these tanks and want to reach out to either of them, just contact them in the comments there and get a conversation started. But yeah, this is great, Joe. Go ahead, please continue.
Yes, so I'll try and give different views so that everyone can see. So we're hoping to move these tanks. Basically, what people have to understand is shipping. We can do nothing about shipping. Shipping's expensive. Can't do anything about it. And right now, we're really not making money. We would just like to break even. The cost of the mold is very considerable. So
sure.
It's really just the hobby and to get things done.
Gotcha. Now, John Fitzgibbons is watching, and he's wondering who he might contact in the U.S. To get some of these tanks. I know you'd mentioned Goose as your U.S. contact. Is there a phone number or something for him?
Yes, I'd have to post it. I don't know it off heart, but I will post it for everyone.
Wonderful, wonderful. And also, if someone is curious too, you can email me after the program, and Joe will share that information with me, and I can relay that to you. And also, as you can see here, Ken Haberman is on, and he's got his contact information there. You can find him in the comments of this video if you'd like to reach out to him. But yeah, please tell us about this citation.
That's a 1980 Citation SS. It's pretty well perfect. It's not the one we had as new, but my wife had one exactly. We bought it, the first new sled we ever bought, and so it was one of the favorites I wanted to pick up, and finally did. And And so I got it now on display. Then
Yeah, I remember those when they came out. I was a teenager and I was madly in love with those.
I'll just take a walk around. I've got a
Please
few
do.
more. These are kind of some of the ones I have, just special ones I put on display for everyone to see in the store.
I like that RV.
Yeah, they were a little bit hard to find sometimes, but I've got a couple of them actually.
Yeah, and tell me about that racing sled if you would. Do you mind going back for a second?
Which one?
That one right there in the center of the screen.
Okay, that one actually originated from Kirkland Lake. It was.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was bought. It came out of Barrie. The fellow was my age. He bought it brand new for I think $5,500, and he raced it, and then it ended up in different places. And I got it from back. It came from Gary Peltola out of Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have the history on it. And then the MXZ, the one in the corner was 2005, the last year of the 800 in snowcross. So
I see, yeah.
that was my son's last sled. I kept it just as a memento. And then you see the Elite up in I have a couple of them. I got one at home. I drive around right now on the ice.
Wow, that must be fun.
Yeah, they're kind of a hoot to play with. And then the Can-Am, Mike gave me the Can-Am motocross bike.
Nice. Is that late 70s?
Yeah, around 74.
74, okay.
And then my Millennium Mach Z. The Alpine.
Was that the year they had the 1000cc on the Mach Z?
No, 800, that one.
800, okay.
Yeah. So the Alpine, it's 68 Alpine. That's one of my favorites because my dad had bought us one brand new when we were kids. So that was the first sled we had as kids, and it was always fun to drive. Electric start, have the opposed 18.
Yeah.
Then, up beside the 72 340 Blizzard is 2007, the last year of the 440s. I think that one has about 25 miles on it. That's about it.
Oh, no kidding, yeah.
And then the first year, 2008, the XP, that's a 600 XP MXZ. And then I believe that's a 2007 600 SDI.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, the anniversary sled in the corner.
Yeah.
It's just fun collecting and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
You meet
Now, do you have, go ahead, I'm sorry.
You meet a lot of nice people, and I've gotten to know a lot of really good people and a lot of good friends with it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I apologize. My cell phone's going nuts here. I had muted my microphone there for a second to keep it off, but I wanted to respond to you. But yeah, please continue.
So I'll just go back to the tanks to get a good look. So we're hoping to get interest in them just to get them out and get just get something back for all the work in the molds, really. And like I said, if it wasn't for Mike, we'd never be able to do this.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Now, I'm sorry, I'm trying to mute my phone here while we're talking because it's going nuts. Here we go. That ought to do it. Did I see a black dot on the rack there in the shop? Yes, there, and an Elan is up there too, I think, and a Blizzard and a TNT.
Yeah, 74 TNT free air. The bubble nose Blizzard, that's a 340 right beside it, and a 71 340 Blizzard also.
Nice. Is it possible to get in a little closer on those?
I'll try to.
All right, don't trip or hurt yourself or anything. If you can't get in closer, that's okay too. But I just love to see those.
There's so much stuff in the store here; it's just hard to get around.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a little bit better, Mike?
Yeah, I'm liking that. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, I wonder if you could tell us about some of those. Any details or any stories behind any of those?
Yeah, the 340 was from Kirkland Lake here. It was a local dealer here, and so it's been around here its whole lifetime. I was lucky to track it down and bring it back and restore it and put it back to the store. It's nice when you have the history on it.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember going as a kid and drooling in the dealership looking at those.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then that one on the far left, is that like an early 60s, one of the early production models?
Yeah, that's a 62, I believe.
62, yeah.
62 tin cab. It's got the JLO engine, that one.
Yeah. And does it have the wooden skis or the steel skis? Or
Steel skis.
Steel skis, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. And then to the right of that is what, an Olympic?
Olympic. That's
Okay.
the 12.3.
12, oh, yes, yeah. Good. And what year is that Elan?
It's a 78.
78, yeah.
So.
And then that's a free air TNT?
Yeah, 74 400.
74. Very nice. Very nice.
I think that's the $399, the black dot.
Okay. Yeah, those are nice. You don't see many of those. Would you like to talk up the dealership a little bit? I know this is a family dealership. I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about the history of it and what brands you have and anything you'd like to say about it.
Actually, the dealership now is owned by my son Tanner. So him and his sister actually work in the dealership, and they do quite well. It's 100% BRP. So they sell all Ski-Doo, Can-Am side by sides. As you can see, all the different ones here. All the clothing. Sea-Doo, he also sells. He's big into fishing, so he's got a line of fishing, hunting, guns, steel products. I've got because I'm a logger, really. I've got a couple. I got a vintage, an old vintage chainsaw here.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then even the chainsaw for cutting cement.
Oh, no kidding.
Oh yeah.
So is that a chain with a special type of teeth on it that is designed for cutting through concrete, or how?
Yeah, it's got it's a carbide chain.
Okay,
and you feed it with water just to keep the chain lubricated and cool and keep the dust down.
Yeah.
But it actually works very well. So
yeah, that's cool.
We've got a real variety of stuff, and it's a nice occupation and hobby actually.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm more the tinkerer into the old stuff. One time we had a snowcross race team. That's how I got to know Mike, and we became very good friends. And a lot of the sleds, I tried to keep one every year of the race sleds. So I've got some of those tucked away, and that was a fun sport. Yeah,
we'll have to have you on another time. I know that you've got another building there with some other sleds, and we'll have to have you on sometime and look at some of those.
Oh yeah, I've got all different makes and models. I have a few Arctic Cats, Yamaha, Rups, Snowjet. Snow Runners, Husky, Diablo Rouge, you name it, I collect them all.
Very nice, very nice. Now, before we wrap it up, do you have any, what would you say are some of your earliest memories of snowmobiling back in the day?
Really, the earliest ones was riding the old, or being able to ride, or get a ride on the old double tracks. That's what it was, the early pre-1965. I think they were 8 horsepower at the time.
Wow, like the old Alpines?
Yeah, and
yeah,
so...
nice.
When you were kids, you never had the luxury to ride the snow machines. Even looking at them, and sometimes just being able to run on the packed trail was fun.
Yes.
So,
did your family do a lot of grooming with that Alpine that you had, that first sled that you had?
No, we just drove it, rode it.
A recreational sled. Wonderful. Well, good. I'm going to put that graphic back on here one more time for a phone number. So if anyone has questions about those tanks or anything else that they see here in the dealership, that is how they would get a hold of you, or with your son Tanner, I believe.
That's right.
Wonderful. Well, good. Well, yeah, I really appreciate your coming on tonight, Joe.
Okay, it was fun, actually, Mike. Enjoyed it.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll have you on another time.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. Well, that was Joe Roscoe showing us his dealership, his showroom, and his tanks. And our next guest we're going to have here, let's take a quick look at this real quick. This is the menu for tonight's programming. We're on number 2 now. We're about to bring on Luke Bristol for a look at his racing sled. Let me get him on. Here he is. And let me get his microphone on. There we go. How you doing, Luke?
Good. You, Mike?
Good. Thanks for coming on. Now Luke is coming on from St. Johnsbury, Vermont, just about an hour from where I live up north in Derby Line. And we're in his shop now. He's going to do a little show and tell on some of his sleds. And he's turning his camera around. Here we go. Let me put you on full screen here.
So this is a 1971 EXT Special. I picked up maybe 5 miles down the road from my house.
Yeah.
I'm still looking for the person that raced it. They obviously raced it, but I haven't found anybody that knows anything yet.
Sure. Now, have you raced it yourself or have intentions of racing it?
No, I've had it run and I've driven it around a little bit, but I'm probably not going to race it.
Sure.
Yep. It didn't have the motor in it, so I found the correct motor and the pipes and all that stuff. So it's all correct as far as I can get it right now, and then we'll see where it goes from here.
Nice. Yeah, that's a cool project. I like that. Is that a period sticker? That AC sticker?
Which sticker is this?
That AC sticker on the left side of it?
Oh, I don't know. It's period. It was on there, so I believe it's period correct. I do not know. Nice. It was on there. Then the person that I got it from had a 440 Hertz in it for driving on the trails. So
I see, yeah.
They used to just drive it on the trails.
Gotcha. And then you replaced it with
Then the
this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yep, I put the right motor in it.
Yeah, that's cool. I like those Emily stickers too.
Then the next one is a 68 Panther with a 372 Hearth in it. And it's got a single Montana pipe on it.
Yeah, that's cool. I bet that sounds good when it starts out.
Yeah, it sounds definitely good. And this one was only maybe 3 miles from up the road from my house.
Yeah. Now, is that a fuel tank there on the side of the engine?
Yep, 68s had the suitcase fuel tanks. And then 69, I think they went to the trunk.
In the rear. Okay, yes, I remember those.
I believe. Yeah.
Now, is that suitcase tank removable so you can take it to a gas station to go fill it up and then bring it back to the sled and hook it on? Or
Yep, you can take it right out. Yep, you can take them right out.
that's actually a cool idea.
Yeah, I don't know why they switched to the trunk because they all just rusted out anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, because we had a 69 Panther back in the day with a fuel tank in the trunk. It had excellent traction, but boy, if you got that stuck, that was really heavy trying to yank on that.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. And then I have a 70 Motoski SM634 that was Frank Scott's race sled from Maine. Yeah, I guess he was a big Motoski dealer down there.
Nice. So this has some racing history.
Yep, this has race history. I had the motor, I took the motor apart, resealed everything, and it's all finger ported. The crank's been welded and banded. It's ported pretty heavily, and it is definitely loud.
I bet it is. Yeah. I like those pipes. Have you had a chance to drive it? Does it have some get up and go?
I have driven. I do. Yeah, I do drive this one. Yep, this one goes pretty good.
I bet it does. Yeah. How does that handle? How does a sled like that handle?
Not good.
No.
Definitely doesn't handle the best.
So it took a lot of body English to race a sled like that, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. It is one long sled. I think I could fit all my kids on this sled.
That's cool.
And then this is the sled I race still to the day. 194 Hertz in it. And it's also got it's a 73 Lynx with a full rubber track conversion. So it's full rubber track, clip track. And then we race this in Lancaster, Lisbon, Maine. We do pretty good with them.
Yeah. In fact, I've seen you race that. I've seen you win on that too.
Yep.
Very cool. In fact, you were riding that the day we met. The first time we met a few years ago, you were riding that.
Yep, I remember coming off the track and you were standing right there. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, yeah. And I just happened to have the camera rolling too. In a few minutes, I'll roll that video too when we're finished here. But yeah, tell me about how you got into racing. How long have you been racing?
Not that long. One of my buddies was doing it. Ryan Peterson has the same sled as this. We have two of these, and he started racing years ago, and then he got out of it. And then I went to go watch him race one day in Lisbon. I was like, I'm going to get into this. Then we built two matching sleds. So these are identical sleds.
Identical.
And then so I've only been racing. 2017 or 16, somewhere in there is when I started, I think.
Yeah. Very nice. And you're hooked at this point. There's no turning back, I imagine.
Yeah, no, there's probably no turning back. I got too many parts for it now.
Nice. Nice. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
A 76. And then, I got so many parts of that motor, I couldn't afford to get out of it now. And then I got a 76 340 Snow Twister.
Very nice.
This is definitely a fun sled.
Yeah, I'll bet it is. Those won a lot of races back in the day.
Yeah, I think they still do very good to the day, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That's a really nice shape, too.
Yeah, it's not bad. The tunnel's been welded in the back, like typical. They always are.
Yeah.
But this one was only maybe 8 miles from the house. I don't travel very far for these.
Wow, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a sharp-looking sled, too. They really look nice.
Yeah. Then the Thunderjet I picked up maybe 20 minutes north of here in a barn. And then it came from the person I bought it from, got it from Burlington. They got it from right out of Burlington, maybe in the 80s, I believe.
Okay.
But that one's fun. I take that out on the track every once in a while.
Nice. I've seen you bring that to shows. I think I saw you riding that at the Washington show a couple of years ago.
Yep. I bring it to the shows and I'll ride it around. Yeah. That's definitely that's a fun sled to ride too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. And then you said you do some fabrication of some, I think, engine mounts, I think you said, right?
Oh yeah, for the race sled, for my race sled, I've been making 194R aluminum motor plates, or I'm in the process of doing a run of them right now. I'm thinking I can do, like, pricing wise, I'm thinking like $80, I think, shipped anywhere in the US is what I'm thinking on these. But I'm still working on them. They're still in motion right now, but they will be available soon, hopefully.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. In fact, I'm going to put your number on the screen here. So if someone is watching this and is curious about that, this is how you get a hold of Luke to speak to him about it.
Yep. Yep.
Good deal. And I'll take that off. But yeah, please continue.
I got, what else do I got to show you? I got a 4-cylinder King Cat block, new old stock one that I'm looking for parts for, but yeah, that's impossible to find.
That is cool. That is very cool.
Yep. And then what else do I got? I got, so these are all like for my race sled. This is all my Herc 194R cylinders that I got extra for.
Yeah.
So
backup parts and then backup parts
racing,
to the backup
you know
parts.
How racing goes. You go,
absolutely.
Yeah, yep. And if I had lights in my barn, I could take you out there because I got more stuff out there, but I'd have to wait till daytime.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to have you on another time.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yep. And these are the kids' sleds.
Yep. Now, do your kids race those, or do they just ride those recreationally, or?
They do. They race these. This one is this one's got a 206 Briggs in it that's runs on methanol.
Methanol, yeah.
So they all look the same. But, yep. And then the green one is a Champ motor that runs on C14.
Okay. And the kids enjoy that?
Yep. Oh yeah, absolutely. They ride more at the house than they do anywhere else. End up wrecking each other all the time.
Demolition derby?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Nice. Now, I know when we were speaking, you mentioned your day job is you have a powder coating business. Do you feel like talking that up in case anyone's in the area that might like to avail themselves of those services?
Yeah, we have performance powder coating right in St. Johnsbury, right at in the Fairbanks Scales building.
Okay.
We have an oven. We do a lot of race car chassis, like quite a few a year. We have an oven that's 8x8x16.
Yeah.
So we can do pretty big stuff.
Yeah, you can get a big item in there. A vehicle, probably.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Well, cool. Any final thoughts before we wrap it up, or?
I don't believe so. I think I've wrapped everything up that I got in my shop.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is really cool. I appreciate you coming on, Luke.
Yeah, not a problem.
Good deal. Yeah, we'll have you on another time to look at that the items in that other building sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. That'll work. Hopefully, I can get some lights out there.
Yeah, for sure. Cool deal. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on, Luke. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
All righty. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, we are back, and let me adjust the screen here. There we go. So let's take a look at our menu and see where we are. I've got a few things to talk up. Now, over the last week, a friend of mine emailed me some information about a vintage Arctic Cat that he has for sale. I'm getting it on the screen here. Dennis Paradis in the state of Maine is selling these items as a group, and when I mean a group, this is what I mean. He's got the sled and the little trailer there. He also has a couple of suits, a man's suit and a woman's suit, and he's looking to sell all of that as a group. Now, here's another angle of the sled and of the cowl. So if you're interested in this, his number is on the screen. Give him a call. He's in the state of Maine, and he'd be happy to help you out with that. Now, also, I got another email today. This is a gentleman from Sweden. Now, he's looking for an El Tigre 6000 from 1981, and he's looking to not only looking for someone with something like this for sale, but someone who would be open to shipping it to Sweden. So if you've got a sled like that and you're open to shipping it to the country of Sweden, give him a call. I've asked him to monitor the comments here, so leave a comment for him, and he'll contact you and try to make something happen. Now, the last thing I wanted to mention before we move on to the induction of the induction of Claude Hebert into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, wanted to let you know that sadly, Crane's Vintage Snowmobile show that was supposed to be coming up on February the 6th has sadly been canceled. That's a real bummer, but we understand because with COVID and everything, a lot of these types of things are being canceled. But yeah, it is a bummer because that is a really fun show. I encourage you to keep an eye out for that next year. He always has it the first Saturday in February. So hopefully by this time next year, all this COVID business will be finished, and maybe we can all spend some time at that show. That is one of the funner shows in the East. So do keep that in mind for the future. So let's get back to the menu here. let me cue up the video of Claude Hebert being inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. But I apologize, I'm out of turn here. One thing before we get into that, I wanted to run the video of Luke that we had on a minute ago. This is the video from when he and I first met. It's about a minute or two into this video where he and I met, but let's take a look at this video. This is from the Lisbon Vintage Snowmobile Racing in 2018.
Now, is this an 81 or an 80? 80. Yeah, I remember liking those. I was in high school when these came out. I really liked them.
Yeah, we're down 30 on the way here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really remember liking these when they came out. And then, of course, the Blizzards came out there
The Blizzards,
a couple years before.
Heavier.
Yeah,
These are snappy for the side of them.
yeah. And then a few years later, my dad got a Citation 4500. It wasn't as sporty as this. Didn't have the twin carb, but it was nice. You could hang the track out, hang the tail end out, you know. How long have you had this?
Third year? 3
Yeah.
years, yeah.
3 years, nice. Have you restored it at all, or is that original? Or?
Well, original except the jack shaft, chain case, and we got the chain case was broke out of it. I take the motor off, changed all the chain case, jack shaft,
Wow.
cleaned it all up. Got hours in it, yeah.
I'll bet, yeah. Now you're racing that today, or just showing that? Or?
We ain't racing it now.
Just showing it?
One always put a long track on it, but we never did.
Oh, like a 4500 track?
Yeah, longer.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And then there's a 69 here.
Take the air jet out and then put more.
How'd you make out?
First.
First?
Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
Cool, what's your name?
Luke.
Luke, nice to meet you.
You too.
Now, you'll probably see this coming, but were you using the Force, Luke?
Not today.
Not today, you didn't need it?
No.
Nice. Yeah, I do a video magazine about vintage snowmobiles,
Oh, cool.
and this probably be in the next edition.
Sweet. Cool.
What year is this?
73.
73, nice.
Yeah, rubber track.
Oh, really? No cleats, huh?
73 lengths. Yeah, stop this man.
Nice. There's a single cylinder? Or?
Yeah, 340 hertz.
Wow, nice. Good for you, man. You took it, huh?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good.
That new seat? Top end was losing it.
Nice meeting you, Luke.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Okay, if I take some video of your sleds? Cool. Yeah, I'll give you my card. I do a video magazine about vintage snowmobiles. I like that TX.
Yeah, he's going to run it in the demolition derby at the end of the race.
Nice.
End of the day. Right, Tom?
You'll probably do well. Those were tanks. We had one when I was a kid. We had a 250 TX, and it was tough. I was a teenager and it took everything all the abuse I gave it.
The only 3 years it didn't blow up on a regular basis was the fucking
Yeah.
Polaris 250s and 340s. 440s blew up.
Now, was this a 76? 78, yeah. Nice.
It's all this. It hasn't been redone or anything.
All original, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
So we got original chrome plating and all that. So I bought it running. I think I'll just leave it alone.
Good. That was a 340 or 440 or?
340.
340. Nice.
I put Indy suspension in it. Double runner carbides.
That gives us some bite.
Warmers.
Oh yeah. Nice.
And I wanted to ride the trail.
Yeah.
That sucker goes pretty good.
It does.
What is that, Puma?
Oh, was he just on the track or getting ready to go on?
I don't know. Which side did you do? The
Oh,
one
yeah.
online there? The Facebook one?
Yeah, Vintage Snowmobile Lovers.
Yeah. I see your stuff all the time. Nice
Oh,
to
good.
meet
That's
you.
me. Yeah, I'm Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Nice to
My
meet
name's
you.
Tom.
Sweet. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I can see your stuff all the time.
Well, cool. Yeah, I wanted to show that real quick. I intended to show that once Luke had finished, so we could show that the video, the camera was rolling the day we met. But yeah, without further ado, let's take a look at Claude Hebert being inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame in 2019.
Mr. Claude Hebert. Claude Hebert, racer promoter, inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame 2019. Claude's exceptional racing talent in the early 1960s was noticed by the local Colbert motorski dealer, who then hired him as their driver. He was soon invited to race for the Eastern Motorski distributor, Rockwell Incorporated. It was here that Claude not only became New England sales manager for Rockwell, but worked closely with the motorski factory on engine development to increase horsepower and was involved in the many rule requirements for racing. His role in production testing and new model development, along with a full racing schedule each season, contributed greatly to motorski's success. When Rockwell Distributors ceased as a distributor for snowmobiles, Claude accepted the job as New England regional manager for Snowjet, now owned by Kawasaki Motors. Claude was soon promoted to as national international sales manager and involved in the Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he was involved in production testing, product development, and was involved in the development and promotion of the TOC Tournament of Champions. In 1969, on an icy Sunday morning at the Lancaster Grand Prix racetrack, snowmobile racer Claude Hebert, driving a 634 motorski, got into a first turn skirmish with a Matic cat rider and delivered to the snowmobile racing world the first real glimpse of the element of danger to this new sport. He'll always be remembered as the guy who cut off a telephone pole.
You know, I never saw a pole because I thought I could use the berm and get around. My three-corner slide didn't hold. So I was going up to the berm, and then I see all these kids and people behind the fence. I thought, oh my gosh, that's where I'm going. Next thing I knew, when I came to, I was paralyzed, I was blind, and I thought, what in the hell happened? Somebody grabbed my foot, and I could feel it. I thought, shit, I'm not paralyzed. So I was wedged between the snowbank and the fence. They pulled me out of there. I'm still blind. I turned my helmet around. I still didn't know what happened. The pole was on the track, and my motorski's upside down on the fence. Well, I never saw the pole. That was the most amazing thing ever. And then they got my sled out, and I realized, hell, my brake cable was broke. I couldn't slow down anyway. So that was my day. It's a pleasure to be here and to accept this on behalf of the telephone pole and light.
They took him to the hospital, checked him out, he came back that same day and started racing again.
I didn't go very fast, but my brake cable was still broken.
Claude is still promoting, though. Claude has been instrumental in helping us find these different racers and everything the last couple of years on the internet. He's all the time looking for people, and he's been very helpful. So Claude's always doing something for us.
Okay.
I want to thank Rick Simulus for the work he's done in developing the site. And that has brought together so many of the races and names from yesterday that we had all long forgotten. And all of a sudden, the stories they come out with and the memory these guys have is just unbelievable. I think Bruce
Don't ask them what they had for breakfast.
Bruce Bourgeois can tell you every race he was ever in and what position he was in. You know, who remembers that stuff? So, thank you, and for Paul Crane and you, Ed, for all the work you've done there. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Well, there you go. Claude Hebert inducted into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame. And I believe he's viewing this tonight. I know I emailed him earlier to let him know we're going to be doing this so he could view it. Hopefully he's on here tonight. Now, after the induction, I managed to catch him for a quick interview. Let's take a look at that.
I'm Claude Hebert. I started racing motorskis back in '64 when the '65 models came out. And little did we know at that time what we were really into. We didn't even know that this industry was going to be what it is today. I think none of us really realized the industry was going to grow the way it has. If we hadn't, maybe we'd have done things a little bit differently. But in any case, it was exciting because we were young, we wanted to go fast, and when the motorski dealer in Colebrook offered me a ride, well, you know, what the hell, it's this sled. You don't have to worry about beating mine up. And then I was pretty good on the sled, so then I got an offer from Rockwell Distributors out of Yarmouth, Maine. And so they hired me, and I went racing and sales, and raced every weekend, and then salesman during the week. Time went on. I worked for Rockwell for about 10 years. In the first 5 years, racing and sales, and then after that, after the accident in Lancaster, they told me that I was too valuable to be on the racetrack. They wanted me in the office tending to sales. So from '71 on, it was strictly New England sales manager, and we had guys that were going to just race and beat the sleds up on weekends. So that was my introduction to the racing and to the competition out in the field through Motorski, and then of course Bombardier bought Motorski, and things were changing rapidly at that point to where Rockwell was no longer going to be a distributor. So I moved on to another brand and never raced the other brands, but was always involved with the other brands in one form or another of promoting, developing, testing, and things like that. So the snowmobile industry was very good to me for 18 years that I was in it. So today I kind of look back on that with fond memories, especially with what they have done here at Cranes, that they took the time and the initiative to bring back the memories of yesterday. I think it's a great job.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, great interview. And I have to say, that is one of the fun things about this Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, the induction ceremony they have every year, is you get to hear these incredible stories like the one you heard a minute ago about hitting that pole and all of the mayhem that ensued after that. It's just story after story after story, not only during the ceremony itself, but as you're mixing and mingling with these people and overhearing other conversations that people are having. It's just an awful lot of fun, and it's growing every year. Every year the ceremony gets bigger and bigger, and it used to be inside Crane Snowmobile Museum, but it's gotten too big for that. It's just too many people, so now they have it outside in the parking lot. That's just how big it's grown. And I would like to cordially invite you to join us for the next one. It's going to be on September 11th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time at Crane's Snowmobile Museum in Lancaster, New Hampshire. Now, if you're planning to join us with this, a couple of things. You want to make sure you get there early so you have some time to go in and check out the museum. You can also mix and mingle and visit with inductees, past, present, and future. And you also want to be sure and bring a lawn chair. That's where you're going to be sitting, is you're bringing your own chair. Now, then they have the ceremony, as you've seen clips of on this program. But after the ceremony, everyone moves over to the Lancaster Motel for the after party. And that's just as much fun as the ceremony itself. Everyone's mixing and mingling and taking pictures, and all the inductees are very approachable. You can walk right up to them and ask them questions and hear some of the stories and get your picture taken with them. And there's a whole host of vintage snowmobile enthusiasts there. It's just a whole lot of fun. And if you're planning to go, you of course want to stay at the Lancaster Motel, because that's where the after party is. As the after party winds down, you just meander over to your room and call it a night, and everything is right there. But I do have to warn you, every year, the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, all of the attendees and the inductees and everyone that comes for this, we fill up the Lancaster Motel every year. So if you're planning to attend and planning to join us and be a part of this, coming from any distance, you want to book your room at the Lancaster Motel as soon as possible, because we do fill it up every year. But I hope to see you there this year. I never miss it, and I hope that you become a regular at this event as well. So I've got one last video for you. Let's look at the menu here. We are on number 5. My friend Steve Dickinson. I see him at a lot of the shows, the vintage snowmobile shows in Vermont and New Hampshire. He's a great guy with a great collection. We're going to look at a couple of his Arcticats, which I believe he sold them. The bigger one, at least. The larger one, I think he sold. The smaller one, the Kitty Cat, I'm not sure whether he sold or not. But let's take a look at the video here, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Hi, my name's Steve Dickinson. I'm from Roland, New Hampshire. These are my 3 Arcticats that I have. I got a 650 EXT triple. I made 125 of those. That one has 2.8 original miles on it. It's been started but never driven since I've owned it. And then we have a 793 Panther. They made 100 of these. This one was restored by Arctic Restoration, and it's their own personal sled, and I purchased it from them. It's never been started since it's been restored. And then we have a little kitty cat that I made for my granddaughter to look like the EXT. It's got the heads on the outside and the exhaust system on it. And,
nice. Kind
of made it to go with my EXT.
Beautiful. I love these. Well, good. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, thank you. No, it's the same. They have a board for you. I don't know if it's the same or what.
Yeah, Steve Dickinson's vintage Arcticat snowmobiles. Now, I believe he's getting rid of the EXT and the Panther, if I recall the conversation with that I had with him a little while back. And of course, he's not going to be without vintage sleds for long, so he replaced those with something else. And I'd like to have him on sometime for some show and tell, because he has, as you can see from his collection there, he buys the best of the best. He's got some truly exquisite examples of vintage snowmobiles, mostly Arcticats. And he's also got the clothing and all sorts of things. So I'd really like to get him on here sometime for some show and tell. And hopefully one day soon you'll be able to meet him and see what he's got. So that is about it for the evening. I really appreciate your coming on, and especially the, forgetting myself here. Let's go and look at a few comments before we finish, because I know quite a few have come in. Let me find where we left off. Okay, I think the last person we heard from was Mike Orr in Ontario, and Mike Orr is involved with those tanks that we saw earlier in the podcast. We have Carlene Perry. Hey, Carlene. Carlene's my girlfriend. Thanks for coming on. J.R. Tozier. Now, J.R. is an inductee into the Eastern Snowmobile Racing Hall of Fame, I think in 2018. We'll air his induction at some point as well. Thanks for coming on, J.R. I hope that you like what you saw and that you'll join us again in the future. Stacy and Art Fosler, love the podcast. I know that Stacy and Art are regular viewers of this as well. We really appreciate that. Rick Moore from Brandon, Manitoba. Thanks for coming on, Rick. Danny Poitra First time viewer from Belcourt, North Dakota. Thanks for coming on, Danny. I hope you'll continue to join us in the future. We're on here every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Tony Triafante, first time viewer from Aurora, Ohio. Thank you for coming on, Tony. We appreciate it. Our good friend Jim Layton is here from Northern Maine. Jim's been on here before, and he'll be on here again. I was just talking to him tonight. He's got some new items he'd like to show us. So sometime in the next few weeks here, we'll have him on. It's just a matter of arranging it. John Fitzgibbons, who has them in the USA? Oh, he's asking about those tanks. And I'm gonna get information about that so that people can order them if they need to. But in the meantime, order them or give a call to inquire. Let me see if I can find the graphic to put up. In the meantime, I know this doesn't look good the way I've got the screen laid out. Let me try it this way. That'd look much better. But in the meantime, what I'm going for is that phone number at the top of the screen. So if you're curious about those tanks that we were looking at earlier, that would be the number to call. And they'll be able to point you in the right direction. Now, Ken Haberman is also involved with the tanks. He does the motor ski side of it, and that's how to reach him. Search for Ken's Vintage Rehab on Facebook. Kim Goccioni, Gooseland. Now, Gooseland is where you get them in the U.S. I don't know if Jim is saying that it's Gooseland or if Jim is with Gooseland. I'm not sure how that works, to be honest with you. But Ken Haberman says, thanks, Joe, for the help. Mike Orr. We've got Michael Cotgrave, Cochrane, Ontario. Home of some of the best trails in the world, home of the Polar Oval Race Cup. We also have snowpack drags, one cool sled museum with over 100 vintage sleds to view. While you're there, check out the live polar bears. That sounds like a great place to go, Cochrane, Ontario. So if you like vintage sleds and you happen to be in that area or going in that direction, be sure to stop in and check out all the snowmobile things they have there. Jeff Nix, wondering about Mach 1 snowmobiles. So he must have been asking when Joe was on. Ronald Parks, hello from Cortland, Ontario. I keep mixing up Ontario and Ohio tonight. Sorry about that. Jeff Nix is here. Oh, Ken Haberman likes that SM. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. John Greenwood remembers a friend and a Zephyr that whole neighborhood could ride one lunger. Diane Baker is on. Diane Baker is a regular viewer. Thanks for coming on here every week, Diane. We really appreciate it. Nice to see you again. Brody Messner messaged you 5 minutes before it started. Wanted to know if you could share that snowmobile event on your page. And unfortunately, I don't have a way to access that. I apologize, Brody. Hopefully, it hasn't happened yet or won't until next week. I'll try to air that next week. Sorry about that. Now, Brian Robillard is talking about a vintage snowmobile show in Ossipee, New Hampshire, January 30th at Hobbs Brewery. And I think I have a graphic for that. Yeah, so here's the graphic for that. Saturday, January 30th, 2021 at Hobbs Brewery. If you're in central New Hampshire, it's a great show. And I know Brian is talking about maybe going to that show and taking some footage to share with us, which would be really nice. I hope you're able to get some footage, Brian. We'd love to have that on. We'll give you full credit, of course, if you share some footage with us. David Crawford signed in from Columbus, Indiana. Steve Dickinson, nice job, thanks, he says. And that Steve is the gentleman who owns those cats we were just looking at. Pat Lima, very interesting. Again, awesome. Good deal. I appreciate your coming on, Pat. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Lyndon Dewey likes the Arctic Cats. And Ken Haberman says, very good show. Well, thank you, Ken. I really appreciate that. So we're going to wrap it up here. I'm going to show you a video about the Mad Ramps product in just a moment. But before we do, I wanted to tell you about something I'm doing Saturday. Now, I've been in contact with my friend Mike Mahar. He is involved with the Central Minnesota Pond Racing Organization. I think he's the guy that runs all of that and makes all of that happen. I ran a test feed of one of their earlier races from last weekend on Vintage Snowmobile Lovers, on my Vintage Snowmobile Lovers page yesterday. I was able to do it successfully. That was just kind of a test, and I've had almost 10,000 views on it. So it sounds like it's a winner, and I appreciate you guys viewing that. The reason I did that is I'm going to try to do that live. I'm going to try to take that feed live Saturday. It begins at noon Eastern Time, 11 Central. So if you've got nothing better to do and would like to see some ice oval racing, tune in. I'm going to try to bring that feed on the Vintage Snowmobile Lovers Facebook page. Just monitor that page, refresh it every now and then around noon Eastern Time, and you should be able to find that the ice oval racing, Central Minnesota Pond Racing. So do look forward to that this coming Saturday. I'm going to try to bring that to you. It's the first time, and it's new technology and all this. And I'm in my late 50s messing around with this technology, so it is what it is. But I'm going to try to bring it to you. And if you're around, please take a look. All right, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this. I really appreciate it. Hope you like what you see and decide to join us every week. I also hope that you'll do me the favor of sharing this either on your profile, on a friend's profile who might enjoy it, or share it as a private message to help get the word out about the podcast. Anything along that line that you could do, I'd really appreciate it. It's a great way to spread the word about this and help grow it. So thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, and we'll catch you on the other side. Here's a quick video about the Mad Ramps product.
It's the ultimate combination of simplicity and ingenuity. The newest way to load, unload, and transport your ATV or UTV. The Mad Ramp's Pivoting Ramp System. Made in the USA and engineered for strength and durability. Maneuver through tight places and over rugged terrain with plenty of ground clearance. No licensing, no ongoing maintenance costs, and no storage hassles like trailers. Won't slip or move like conventional ramps. Free up more cargo space in the bed of your truck. Securely connects to your truck's receiver hitch. Easily extends for safe loading and unloading. Seamlessly retracts for highway and off-road travel. DOT approved in all 50 states and Canada. Quickly disconnects in under a minute. A unique space-saving storage system. The Mad Ramp's Pivoting Ramp System. Go farther. Go faster. Go safer.
When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs. When you order using the link in the description, I'll send you 3 free Vintage Snowmobile DVDs.